Hello, welcome to Here We Go. In this video, let's continue our discussion on how to avoid complicated josekis. This is a continuation from the previous video on how to address Black's one-space approach to White's 3-4 point here on the corner. So in the last video, we said a simple approach is to play at number 6, which will guarantee White's control of the corner. In the last video, the variation with the joseki looks something like this. Of course, Black's 11 can be on the 4th line here as well. In this lesson, let's talk about two variations or two josekis that you can play if Black chooses to play here at number 7. So here, obviously, number 7 really wants to separate number 4 and number 6. So if White ignores it, then this will be disastrous for White, right? White will be separated, and these two stones will likely die. So in order to preserve the corner and make the connection, White must play at number 8. Now, there's a cutting point, as you can see, but White is not afraid of it, right? If Black cuts, then what White should do is to extend here or extend here. I think either side will work, and Black cannot succeed this way. So the only move Black can do is this bend on the 3rd line. Black cannot extend here, right? If Black extends here, then White can extend this way. Then White will have potentially access to both the left side and the upper side. And it's very bad for Black to build anything, right? There's really no potential for Black. If Black plays here, then White can play something on the left side to reduce Black's potential on the left. So Black really got nothing here, and the corner for White is really big. So Black's number 9 must play here. And now White has two choices. One is to stand down here. After standing down here, the corner is really all White. But now another important point is this one, right here. If Black plays elsewhere, then this bend and the double bend or the double hane, right, will really give White potential here on the left side. So this is unacceptable for Black because this potential on the left side is too big and too easy for White. And that is why Black's 11 must extend here on the 4th line to keep White's low on the 2nd or 3rd line here, right? So White cannot surround the left side too easily. So after Black's 11, White plays here on the 2nd line. Why? Because White doesn't want Black to seal off White so easily like this, right? If Black seals off White like this, then White also has weaknesses here on the corner. So both to bolster its corner and to prevent Black from sealing off White from the upper side, White plays at number 12. Black can't really play here. Otherwise, White will play this, and number 9 will be a wasted move, and Black will have no potential on the upper side now. Right? So it's better for Black to play this, right, to preserve its potential towards the center. And now what White wants to do is not to play on the 2nd line again, right? Because playing here on the 2nd line is really to reinforce the corner and to protect against these cutting points in the future. So White's next move is to play this small knight's move here on the 2nd line. Usually you see people playing on the 3rd line in a similar pattern. Not necessarily this joseki, but similar pattern. But here, in order to reduce the number of potential problems, White can play this. This is also a very solid move. So after number 14, Black cannot seal off White on the left side. And Black also hasn't sealed off White on the upper side, right? Because in the future, if White is ever pincered by Black, White can connect underneath like this very easily. So Black doesn't really have the upper side sealed off yet. So this whole variation is slightly better for White, also playable for Black. So that was number 10 here on the 2nd line, standing down here. Another choice White has now is this extension. Extending here solidifies White's influence on the left side. Now what Black should do is to play this Atari. White will have to connect here to protect the corner and to build a very solid shape. And now, black can either take sente, right, can play elsewhere, or black can play this tiger's mouth to reinforce this shape. So for amateurs and especially beginners, I would recommend playing at number 13. Otherwise, this group might come under attack by white if white plays a pincer, something like this. And it will not be easy for black to handle. So playing here is a perfectly fine move. It reinforces this black group, and it establishes more influence here on the upper side. So this is another variation, another joseki that is acceptable for both sides. AI programs say this slightly favors white, and that is because of black's choice at number 7, right? Instead of playing at number 10. So if black plays number 7, then this variation is pretty even for both sides. So those are all the variations for this lesson. But of course, if you're reading Go books on your own, especially the older joseki books, you're going to see the small avalanche and the big avalanche josekis stemming from these first 6 moves here on the corner. Right? The small avalanche can be triggered by white playing here, which is not recommended for white. Right? So you should not play the small avalanche ever. And for the big avalanche, white extends here, but black also plays here, right? And now white bends like this, and black ataris, and this will trigger a very complicated sequence that I don't even know, that I will probably not cover in this chapter. If I cover it, it will be in a series of outdated josekis, and just for fun, just don't try to play the big avalanche, because now very few players will play it with you. If you extend at number 10, which is a perfectly fine move for white, and your opponent plays at number 11, what do? Well, you stand down here, right? If your opponent plays at number 11, if you're white, you should stand down here instead of playing this bend and trigger the large avalanche. The reason why these josekis are named avalanche is that they are very dangerous. If you make one wrong move, then your entire corner might be dead. So as a beginner, as amateurs, you definitely would want to avoid the large avalanche. So if your opponent plays at number 11 wanting to trigger the big avalanche, all you need to do is to stand down here. And all black can do is to extend here, right? And now what you can do is just play this, and then take sente. Now white can play elsewhere, take sente. And this is pretty good for white. Yeah, so this is how you avoid the large avalanche. If you're seeing those in books, you should probably stop reading those joseki books, because those are not the most helpful books to beginners. But of course, if you're intellectually curious about those josekis, what they're like, feel free to read them. But I think the Avalanche josekis are no longer practical for our purposes today. But anyway, hope you learned the 2 variations in this video. Those are relatively simple responses to black's number 5. And if you're white, now you're not concerned about your opponent approaching you this way. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please leave a comment below, and I'm happy to answer them. Thank you for watching.